Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 21 Minutes or Less podcast. I'm one of your co hosts, Keisha Milana,
And I am Nakia Smith.
and today we are talking all about finding a hobby. So, we're talking about finding a hobby, what's some things to look for. We're going to talk about some of our favorite hobbies, and we're going to even tell you the four different types of hobbies. So for me, a hobby is something that I differentiate from a business very easily because a hobby is something that I'm not doing to look for a profit. It's something that I'm just purely doing to try to like enjoy myself, to be happier, to bring my energy up. Something that, I'm not looking to make a profit off of, something I'm not looking to sell anything for. If I'm making bracelets or being creative or doing whatever as a hobby, I'll literally give the stuff away for free because I just enjoyed the process of making it. So, first, I want to talk about what the IRS defines as a hobby because you want to make sure that you're not saying that one of your side hustles is a hobby or saying one of your hobbies is a side hustle because that could start to get a little bit tricky with determining what might be considered as a write off, when you can actually claim it on your taxes, things like that. So the IRS defines a hobby as any activity that a person engages in simply because they enjoy it with no intention of making a profit. So if you are making some cute little bracelets and you selling them to your friends and family, you making $5, you making $10, technically that's not a hobby because you're looking to make a profit from it. So just be sure that when you're picking a hobby, you're thinking about things that you actually enjoy doing for free.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up because a lot of people get it confused sometimes, thinking that they side hustle is a hobby, and you will hear people often say that they turn their hobby into a side hustle because there was a demand for their product or service that they enjoy doing. And I say that can be a good thing and it can also be kind of a bad thing because, like you said, a hobby is something that you love or like to do you simply because you enjoy it versus having a side hustle where you are actually making profits from it. So I would say you can turn your hobby into a side hustle, but you want to be mindful that once you do that, you're taking something that you enjoy doing and making it into something that now you have to do in order to meet the supply and demand needs of whatever service or product that you're putting out there. And that can take away from the enjoyment of the activity.
Mhm.
For example, if you love to write, and you like, okay, well, I want to become a blogger, and then you put all these parameters around you, like, okay, I have to blog once a week on a different topic about this, and then you're getting paid for so many words, and then now it's becoming like a stressful task that you have to do versus you just getting up, writing about your day and enjoying it. So you just want to be mindful, like before you make that big leap, just think, if do I want to add stress to something that brings me enjoyment? That's all you want to ask yourself. Okay.
Yes, you just made such good points, and I can definitely relate to the writing one. As soon as you start to put, stock into writing because you're starting to get paid, or even sometimes it might be not even getting paid, but let's say you're getting notoriety off of something. Now you're trying to do it for more notoriety, you're trying to do it for more claps, so to say, instead of actually doing it because it's a passion of yours, it's something you actually want to do. So I think that was a great point. And the first thing I would say about a hobby is to make sure that it's positive because a lot of times when we doing things that we enjoy, it might not always be the best for us. So you want to make sure that you're not consistently engaging in something that you enjoy that's not the best for you. Just as an example, you could like to, you know, let's say you like to go out and I don't know, rob people or something. Something that's like bringing you enjoyment that's just not good for the community overall, for yourself overall. It could be dangerous. You don't want to do something like that. Or even, let's say, a little bit less drastic. Maybe something like fire throwing. You know, you want to make sure it's something you're comfortable with and that you're having fun with, and not something that you're scared of. Or, let's say you live in a rural area with just a bunch of trees, it wouldn't be good for your neighborhood. You want to think about things like that when you pick a hobby. You want to pick something that you can maintain. So, for instance, shopping might not always be the best hobby for everybody because if you're not financially inclined to consistently shop, it might become something that becomes more of a detriment to you than something that actually, you enjoy and is good for you. So just think about that. Like, make sure your hobby is something that you feel is going to be beneficial to you, whether it's creatively, mentally, physically, emotionally, not something that's going to cause you distress later on because you're indulging in it so much.
Yes, absolutely. And I did want to mention one more thing about the turning your hobby into a side hustle before we move
Yeah.
forward. If you want to do that, I would say do it gradually.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is only like selling your product or service to like maybe family and friends, or word of mouth or referrals from your family and friends, just to see if that's something that you want to do, and if you can, like you said, maintain the day-to-day operations, if you want to do that. Another idea is to maybe do whatever it is seasonally. You brought up the
Mhm.
IRS. So let's just say you good at filing people taxes, but that's not your main business. Like, you had the certifications, you went to school for it, but you do something else. But
Mhm.
your family comes to you to file their taxes. Maybe that's something you only do during tax season, but that's not something you're gonna do year round. So you just want to think about, like, if you do decide to do a side hustle or turn, a hobby into something. I can't see nobody turning making filling out people's taxes as a hobby, unless you just like
Mhm.
numbers like that. Like, I just can't fathom that. But I just used as an example. But but you just never know. But again, you think about, like, is what I'm doing or what I enjoy doing, can it be something I can do seasonally? And if
Mhm.
that's something you can do, maybe that's how you can get your feet wet to see if that's something you want to actually turn into a side hustle, to potentially turn into a business.
Yes. Very great points were made. I definitely agree with doing it gradually because one thing you don't want in your business is to move too fast either. A lot of people just think about like growing too slow. But sometimes, let's say a customer put in an order for 1,000 t-shirts, but you only got 20 and you don't have the supplies to meet the demand of the customers because you just, I don't know, blew up on TikTok overnight or something, then you're not going to be able to fulfill the obligation that you have as a supplier. So you want to make sure that you're growing gradually so that you can actually be prepared when it's time to take that big leap and turn it to something that's building a profit for you. But okay, so according to Well and Good, there are four different types of hobbies. So physical hobbies, cerebral hobbies, so things for your mind, things for your cognitive abilities, and then creative hobbies, and then community or service oriented hobbies. And I like the breakdown of having different categories because when you really start to get into doing things that excite you, focusing on your self care, focusing on your wellness, you can have multiple different hobbies across these different domains. They give you different benefits at different times when you may need them. So, for instance, a physical hobby for me is yoga. Like, I would do it for free. It's something that excites me. It's fun. Great. And then for cerebral, I like to do Sudoku. I like to do puzzle games. I like to, do the spelling things. I was just playing Scrabble the other day. So I like to do games that stimulate my mind, games that make me think. That's fun for me. It's free, but it's exciting at the same time and it's stimulating my mind. And then as far as creative abilities, so do y'all remember those string things back in the day when you used to make the string keychain lanyard things? So I love those. So I got like the big rolls of the string probably like 2 years ago, and I still got a bunch of that. So even when I went to my trip to Costa Rica, I had brought some string, and we made string and turned it into a bracelet and gave it to the kids out there. So that's something that it was fun. It's still kind of mentally stimulating, but it's something I can enjoy because I'm getting to see the creation from stitch one all the way to however many stitches later. And then for the last one, community service oriented types of hobbies. So for me, I love to volunteer. That was my recent trip to Costa Rica that I did. Even that was like a service trip. We were building stove, helping a pineapple farmer harvest pineapples, things of that sort. So just being able to have a different hobby that I can enjoy across those different domains is really, really important to me.
I love that. And if you are very creative, you can combine all of those different type of hobbies into one and make a service project out of it. Like you said, y'all made the bracelets and you gave them away to the students and so forth. So, how do you find like what hobby is best for you? I would say you can just simply try new things. Like just try new things, put yourself out there and see what you like and what you dislike. And then most of the times your hobbies will find you. Like you will get
Hmm.
invited to an event and then they do certain activities and then you actually enjoy it. So when I was in undergrad and I was at Savannah State University, I got invited to my first sip and paint. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how to paint. I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But then I went to the event. I painted my picture and it turned out really, really good. I still have it to this day. I actually gave it to my brother. It's in his house. and yeah, it was like a really nice picture. And then it was relaxing. I was able to be creative. I was able to do something outside of my normal comfort zone. So I was able to like challenge myself into doing something different. So you just want to just put yourself out there. You if you get invited to a rock climbing place, just try it. Even if you scared of
Yes,
heights, at least do like the easy wall and then like work your way up. And you might
yes,
enjoy it because the one thing about fear is you get an adrenaline rush from it. Like if you put yourself out there, and that can like stimulate you in a sense. But I'm a kind of a daredevil, so that may not be stimulating to somebody who like is anxious and fearful and stuff like that. But for me, I get an adrenaline rush from certain things, so it may be stimulating and fulfilling for me.
yes. Do you ride roller coasters?
I do, but I
Okay.
haven't in a long, long time.
Okay, see, that's another important thing. Make sure you're doing hobbies that are for you, for your wellness, for your benefit. Because Nakia, she talking about rock climbing, she talking about riding roller coasters. I'm not into that type of stuff. Even when I was just in Costa Rica, we had a free day and the whole team went zip lining. I'm like, no, I already did that in Mexico. I don't want to ever do it again. I tried it, but it's not for me. So don't be afraid to try different stuff, but also recognize that just because something might be a hobby for someone close to you, a friend, a family member, or someone at work, it doesn't mean that that's the hobby for you. I think, like Nakia was saying, pretty much just trying new things. One thing you can do is take a class or take a lesson. When I was younger, I do feel very privileged and proud that my parents let me try so much different stuff. I was trying golf, I was in gymnastics, I was in tumbling, I was in tennis, I was in tap dancing, swimming. Like I was in everything. I was in piano. And it really gave me a chance to see what I liked and what I didn't like. So I do appreciate that because one of my favorite things out of all of those things, I hated pretty much most of it. But my favorite thing was tap dancing. And I did not think I was going to like tap dancing as much as I did. But I loved it. And it was unfortunate that they ended up canceling the classes because not enough people were interested in it, surprisingly. But I was interested. So that's something I'm gonna try again now as an adult because I only took it like one semester when I was younger, but now just jogging that memory and remembering like, dang, I really did love tap dancing. It's something I could try as an adult. And it would just be fun to just take a class and see where that lands me. I might start doing it again as a consistent hobby. So do not be afraid to take a class or take a lesson and just explore what you might be into.
And also, don't be afraid to pivot. Like, if you no longer enjoy an activity, because you got to
Hmm.
think about it as you get older or as you mature, your interests may change. So, let's just say, when you was younger, going to the club and things, that was probably a hobby for you and your friends, like to like go out. But maybe it's not going out to the club now. Maybe it's like going to a lounge or, you know, a nice little laid back type of situation. So don't be afraid to pivot just because something doesn't interest you anymore. Doesn't mean anything is wrong with you or the activity. It just your interests have changed, and be okay with that.
Yes, I agree. That's one thing I was going to say as well. Do not be afraid to try new things when something is no longer interesting you because we're people and we change all the time. So it's only right that our hobbies will change as well as we mature, as we grow, as we just change through things that, you know, we don't want to do anymore and finding new things that we do want to explore and do. But the last thing I want to say is that your hobby should excite you. So a hobby should not feel like a chore. It should not feel like work. It should not feel like tiresome. It should literally energize you. You should be so happy when you do it because if not, then you can always just find a new hobby that is going to excite you. And that's where the playing around with the different hobbies and trying new things comes into play because like we were saying, you change, and one thing that might excite you in 2022 might not excite you in 2025. So you want to just try different things, see what really excites you, and when you find something that excites you, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I still need to hobby hop and see what works for me. Like, stick with it. Try a few classes or try to move from like a beginner to an intermediate to a proficient level in that particular hobby that you're enjoying. For instance, if you like ballet, start with a normal ballet class. Then you might want to add in advanced ballet, then ballet with flips or something. So do not be afraid to, continuously look for what's going to excite you at that current moment of your life.
And I guess the last point I can make is your hobby can be something you do by yourself or it can be something you can do with others. It all just depends on where you are in your life. Like, where do you want to do? Like, do I want to be an introvert right now or do I want to get out and be an extrovert? And then you can also understand that you do not have to leave your home to do your hobbies. Like I said, the sip and paint. You can do that at home if you don't want to go out. You can buy the materials from the store, get you a nice glass of wine, do that at home. And then they also have canvases where you can get the blank canvases or you can get the canvases that it already have it outlined for you and all you have to do is paint it. And then if you do want to challenge yourself and get a blank canvas, I'm pretty sure there is a tutorial on YouTube that you can find where somebody can walk you through on how to paint something. So just keep in mind that you don't have to put yourself in a box. You can do a hobby with other people. You can do it by yourself at home or outside. It just depends on where you are in your life and what you want to do.
Yes. And don't be afraid to ask your friends what some of their hobbies, because they might put you on to something new that you never even thought about, that you like, dang, I want to try that now. So definitely don't be afraid to open your mouth and just chit chat about what you like to do in your spare time, and be willing to exchange and open to new ideas. But that is all for today. Thank y'all so much for listening to the 21 Minutes or Less podcast. Make sure you go follow our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 21 Minutes or Less. And then you can follow our personal pages. Mine is at Keisha Milana.
And mine is at Miss Butterfly 21 MISS.
And we are going to see you on the next episode.
All right.